Welcome back, everyone. Well, you heard me say it many times over this past year, actually longer than that, is that the well-being of the community hinges so much on education. And, how are we educating our younger people? How are we training them to become the leaders of the future? Those are words you hear in the best of times, and then all of a sudden, a little pandemic rolls in. Over the course of the year, we had been working a lot with BOCES, and I got to know Jim Dexter, who is the district superintendent for that alphabet soup, Washington, Warren County, Hamilton, wherever, BOCES. And I always want to check in with him, find out what he's doing, because he's really on the front lines. So, Jim, hi. First, hello, how are you? Happy Thanksgiving and all
Ex-
that.
Excellent, Jesse. Thank you for having us. And it's always a great opportunity to speak to you and all the great listeners and all the wonderful parents and community members that we get to serve.
We're lucky to have you and Mary Beth and everybody. I've been at BOCES, telling our viewers this, I've been at BOCES any number of times. And when this COVID thing hit, they had a room that was the size of a baseball field filled with people really trying to figure this thing out. And I'll never forget that, Jim. And I remember asking you how you were making out during that time period, and you just kind of looked at me like, we don't know what's next. So at any rate, let's do a check-in first, okay? I got a couple of things on my list here I want to go to, but you've made mention a number of different times that as dark as it got, you were really impressed with how people responded. And it means the parents, it means the students, it means the administrators, it means the teachers, it means everybody you touch. So let's do it. Let's do a check in there first. How are things going?
All in all, things are going as well as can be. I think we have learned a ton over the last 6 months and the various times we've spoken to you. There's so many answers we don't have, but we have learned so much about what to do and what not to do. First, the parents have been incredible. Most parents, a lot of parents want their kids in school. There are some who don't. Where the kids are in school every day or every other day, they're learning. The parents have been incredible. And then some students are home hybrid, but they're doing great. I can't say enough good things. I just can't about the staff. I know the BOCES and the component districts, it's what they say is what do you need and what do we need to do to work together to make this work for the kids and for our community. And that's legitimately what they're saying. The boards of education have been incredible. My superintendent colleagues, I can't say enough about them. Every time there's been a challenge, I'm privileged to work with 31 superintendents. We have about 38,000 school children in the region. They have risen to the challenge and they have done remarkable work. And I'm certainly biased because I work with them all the time, but every time there's a challenge, they've done it. So, we're doing as well as we can, but, every day there's always a new challenge. We try to figure it out.
I was gonna just joke that you still have your hair, but you want to know something? It requires us just being a little more serious about this, because the one thing that you do notice right away, and I think this is what Jim is referring to, right, is it's not a job. If you're a teacher, if you feel the responsibility, you become a second parent. And I don't care if you're in the administrative office, I don't care if you're teaching in the classroom, I don't care if you're driving the bus. It just comes down to that. And I saw it too, Jim. I saw it a lot. And in my individual interviews with superintendents out there in those 31 districts, I felt it every single time. It's an amazing team. It is absolutely
They're committed.
amazing.
The teachers are committed, and they're making it happen. They're the ones making it happen every single day.
Yeah, without a doubt. Do we see a light at the end of the tunnel?
We do. It's not going to be right away. I think if you look at the data, and as the governor had said, the mitigation factors that schools are using, the plans that we have seem to be working. I also think that children are a little bit less susceptible than maybe the staff members themselves. But the vaccine is the light at the end of the tunnel. But what we know is if we keep doing what we're doing, practicing the right procedures, being safe, that the kids can continue to come in. They can continue to learn, and then we just have to work with our local health departments of health when there are positives, and then we work with them to try to figure out how to solve them and what to do. And we've had great partners that we've never really worked with before, and we now rely greatly on them. But the light at the end of the tunnel is, maybe by next year, maybe and I mean 2021, by, May and June, maybe we'll be able to start bringing more students in, be able to return to some sense of normalcy. I think we all feel that we are going to get through this. We are going to continue to do what we're doing now and keep everyone safe. And eventually we're going to be able to kind of get back to some sense of normalcy.
Well, you know what? So much of that depends on following science, and toward that end, as best as I can understand, I want to ask you a question about it. That the state has certain bars, certain criteria. You hear about zones, yellow zone, for instance, and testing, which seems to be central to all of this. Give us an update on that in terms of the zoning, in terms of how you keep your eye on that, how you're making those decisions, and also where we are on testing.
Yep. So all fantastic questions. I will say that it's been a learning curve for all of us in this region, but the good news for us is other parts of the state are farther ahead. And I don't mean that really in a positive, because some of them are already in zones and they got thrown into the fire a little bit faster than maybe we were. And so we've had an opportunity to learn from them and also learn from as the state learns more and they've been able to add policy, kind of meet to some of the policies that they've put in place, we're able to better understand than having just been thrown into it. So with that in mind, there are different zones. For example, there's a yellow zone, there's a red zone, there's a yellow, red, orange, and red. And depending on the nature of the positives within a certain region, those zones are identified. They have serious implications for schools. And it has to do where the school building is. It doesn't have to do with the school district itself. So for example, you could have let's say you had a district like Saratoga Springs, which have community schools in different areas. You could potentially have some schools in one zone or and other schools in another zone. Same with a lot of the school districts. That is not by school districts, about where the schools lie, and the Department of Health will determine those zones when that happens. We know that so those are called clusters, and we know that the positivity rate has been increasing in some areas. So we are preparing for testing, and depending on what happens in those zones, you have to test a certain percentage of the students and staff. So testing is not as simple as just buying some tests. We have to actually arrange for somebody to have a lab license, and so we've been working with our counties and we've been working with other providers. And I can assure you that the districts in this area have been planning and are ready to start doing testing. We're not completely there in every area, but we're pretty close. And we'll be ready to keep the schools open as long as we can. And that is our goal, keep the schools open and work with our Department of Health colleagues to do so. So we are prepared. A lot of us have sent information to parents. We've sent consent forms to parents. We've answered a lot of questions, and we've done the same with the staff as far as answering their questions so that we are ready to go when we need to test. So for example, let's say we're in a yellow zone. If a building is designated a yellow zone, we have to test 20% of the students and staff and within 2 weeks. And then if our building is below the 7-day rolling average for that same region, we don't have to test again. Red and orange work a little bit differently, but it's all based on us being able to ready to test.
I've got it. And of course, the goal there is to get to the green zone.
The goal is to always stay in green,
yes,
or
right.
get to green. That's
or
the
get
goal.
to green. That's what I hear a lot.
Green is good. Green is good. And our hope is to stay in green, but we also know that we have to be prepared should we not be.
Well, what that speaks to, of course, is how vigilant all of you are in really wanting to take care of the health of the students. We talk about in-person learning. I live right in the neighborhood of the Kensington School, and I don't know many adults that skip on their way to go to work. And you watch these kids skipping, and they're happy. They want to go to school.
They want to go to school. They want to be in school.
That's right. It's really pretty remarkable to see. So at any rate, really, thank you so much for that update. It's holiday time, Jim. You've had one hell of a year, you and everybody that you work with at BOCES. Just give us kind of your thoughts for end of the year moving into next year.
Well, right now we're looking to make sure that we continue to be safe and that we get the kids in school, and that we were able to come back in January. That's the thing that we think about a lot. One of the things that we can't control is what happens as far as positivity rate. And so our goal is that, we know it's going to be hard, but our goal is that people follow the protocols in place and that we can keep the kids in school in January. And so when we come back, we can get right back into learning. There are some concerns out there that I've heard in parts of the state of whether or not the schools will be able to operate because of the positivity rates. But we're optimistic and hopeful that we'll be able to continue operating in January and well beyond, until such time as we can, get everyone vaccinated.
I've lived in many parts of the state myself, and New York State has been very vigilant about this. I mean, it's something. It's not a political statement. It's just the fact that there are definite protocols in place that set priorities. And
and we're also hoping the kids and the families can, it's been a stressful time for our family, our children. We're hoping they can get a little downtime and have some joy.
Yeah, good for you. And I hope you have some joy. Look, Jim, thank you so much for checking in. I'll be back to you in January so we can do an update at that time. And in the meantime, please, you and your family. How's it going with your teenage daughter there? Are you talking to each other?
Yes, well, we still are. She's doing great. She's really proud of her and her classmates, and
Great.
she's at college applications and all of that.
Wow. Wonderful time.
So both my girls are doing great. And
good. Well, the best to you and your family. Stay safe, my friend, and have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
holiday, and I'll see you on the other side.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So long, Jim.